our booklet is a real world situation. It's not super complicated. It says school competition, divers judged based on their height, distance, and the form of their dive. On the right is a graph that represents the path of the diver. Complete the labels on the scale using this information and graph complete the table. So notice our independent and our dependent variable is missing. What do you think we should label those as? Height in feet, and distance in feet. Good, because it says they're scored based on their height and their distance. From there, things you need to keep in mind. This is kind of like our quadratic and actions paper that we did the other day. The height is 1 tick is 1 foot, but the distance 1 tick is 2 feet. I have no doubt you can tell me about G vocabulary-wise and D vocabulary-wise. Remember to be very specific. If there's multiple words, then write the multiple words. The coordinate, remember it's always an X, Y coordinate. What does this mean in words? What does this mean about this diving situation? Don't tell me, oh, it's the highest point of the graph. It's, you know, crossing the x-axis. No, in relationship to the diver, please. Define A. What does this mean? Right? And then if it were at 0, 2, what would that mean? Okay, this is the key piece down here. Domain of the graph versus domain of the context, range of the graph versus range of the context. Guys, if I just gave you this graph right here and I didn't tell you anything about the diver, what would you tell me about this graph? It is discrete, which means you're going to use a list or you're going to use individual numbers or inequalities, excuse me. This is going to be a list. So when we say domain of the graph and the data, we are looking at that picture with just those dots. Okay, so that is going to be discrete. When I give you the context of the diver, well, we know that a dive is what? It is continuous. How is that going to change how you write the domain or the range? It's going to be inequality. So keep that in mind. When you put this into the calculator for your equation, I want you to round to the hundredths place, because this one is going to be ugly. Okay, most real world situations are going to be some ugly decimals. Okay? Uh-oh. All right, does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, then let's jump into